Welcome back to another episode of Show Up with Frank Facts. I'm your humble host, Frank Facts. And also gracing us with his presence is our humble guest, Dr. Emuis, who, as always, shared with us empirical facts. I'd like to thank you all for your support, tuning in, and keeping this community alive. Let's dive right in. Welcome back to the show, Dr. Emuis.
Thanks for taking the time to traverse a great distance to be here.
My pleasure. Glad to be here. Can you enlighten us about the origin of the Black Wall Street?
Absolutely. For starters, the Black Wall Street is the thriving African-American business district in the Greenwood neighborhood of Tulsa, Oklahoma in the early 20th century. In the years following World War I, it became one of the wealthiest Black neighborhoods in the United States, a symbol of African-American economic success that's founded in the early 1900s, following the 1907 statehood of Oklahoma. Many Black families had moved to the area after the land run of 1889 during the oil boom, seeking work and independence. Segregation laws prevented Black residents from living in certain parts of Tulsa. Greenwood had over 600 Black-owned businesses at its peak and was known as the Black Wall Street because of its wealth, commerce, and self-reliance, which also includes law offices, medical clinics, luxury hotels, grocery stores, movie theaters, restaurants, schools, and libraries. Many residents were professionals, doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, and skilled tradespeople, which then birthed community life, where residents valued education, with several schools and a high literacy rate. Churches served as central hubs for social and political life.
Can you expound more on how it birthed community life? Because during the thriving period of community life in Black Wall Street, we had both structural short and internal challenges that shaped and in some cases limited its growth and protection.
So what I'm also ensuring that is we point out the shortcomings during that period before community life was fully formed and not the veneers of a thriving community life. For instance, we had systemic segregation, where Greenwood's existence was partly the result of racist laws and practices that forced segregation. Black residents didn't have the same access to jobs, real estate, or resources in white neighborhoods, so they had to create their own parallel economy,
which suggests Greenwood geographical and political isolation. Wealth was concentrated locally, but so was vulnerability. We also had limited access to capital, where banks and lending institutions were white-controlled and discriminatory.
Many entrepreneurs had to rely on personal savings, pooling resources, or informal credit from within the community. This slowed business expansion and made rebuilding after setbacks harder, and some other factors as well.
Right, I'll go even further, especially with the political power gap that's yet to be compensated for and brought about the disparities in community.
Greenwood residents had minimal political representation in Tulsa. This lack of political leverage meant they couldn't easily secure legal protection or push back against discriminatory policies, especially the imbalance in influence and the decision-making ability. And by advocating for equitable representation, challenging systemic bias through litigation or policy reform, and empowering affected communities to voice their concerns. When Greenwood, the district that became known as Black Wall Street, began to grow in the early 1900s, it wasn't just a cluster of businesses. The same unity and self-sufficiency that built Greenwood before the massacre fueled its revival.
Would you say that while self-sufficiency was a strength, which made Greenwood strong, there was also limited economic reach beyond the community?
Especially if outside trade routes or resources were disrupted, the community could feel the impact more sharply.
Yes, and very layered. For instance, there was little to no representation, but they paid taxes like everyone else and almost had no elected officials who represented their interests.
Decisions about policing, zoning, and public services were made without their input. Even wealthy Black residents had little legal power to oppose unjust policies. This raises the argument that there's an overlap between the destruction Greenwood suffered and the lack of compensation afterwards.
Both were compounded by the same shortcomings that had made the community vulnerable in the first place.
Despite losing almost everything, residents rebuilt through determination, community solidarity, and resourcefulness. The 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. Unfortunately, Black Wall Street's success provoked resentment from some white residents. The aftermath of May 31, 1921 was a result of survivors placed in internment camps for days. Insurance claims were largely denied.
Despite massive losses, some residents rebuilt parts of Greenwood in the years following, though it never fully regained its former prosperity.
Yet, despite the losses and the injustices, Greenwood has done an extraordinary job of preserving and continuing the legacy of Black Wall Street. Even at that, it remains a powerful symbol of Black entrepreneurship, resilience, and community. In recent decades, efforts to honor the victims and educate the public have grown, and today this is used both as a cautionary tale about the destructive power of racial hatred and systemic oppression, and as a symbol of resilience, Black excellence, and the ongoing pursuit of economic justice and community empowerment.
Before we wrap up, can we circle back on the recovery of Greenwood after the massacre?
There were new zoning laws passed to ostracize Black residents off Greenwood land by city leaders, but they fought very hard to retain their land, which was very crucial because that reassured the resurgence of a new era in the Greenwood land. They even took legal measures and won. Just off that strength, the bravery and the confidence was a jumpstart into a new era for Greenwood to bounce back again.
Their rise was as a result of collective effort in terms of rebuilding. For instance, when they were denied insurance claims.
Families pooled resources, entrepreneurs reopened businesses out of temporary structures, and neighbors supported one another in defiance of systemic barriers. This spirit of unity not only revived Greenwood after devastation, but also reinforced its identity as a beacon of Black resilience, self-determination, and economic power. Despite losing homes, businesses, and entire livelihoods overnight, the people of Greenwood refused to be defeated. They turned to each other when institutions failed them, pooling resources, labor, and skills to reconstruct what had been destroyed. Churches opened their doors as gathering places. Barbershops and beauty salons operated out of makeshift spaces, and entrepreneurs rebuilt with whatever materials they could gather. There were cultural and social anchors like churches and social organizations playing a huge role in providing meeting spaces, fundraising, and emotional support. Schools reopened quickly to keep youth educated and motivated. We had educated children often came back as professionals, such as doctors, lawyers, teachers, and business leaders who reinvested their knowledge and skills back into the community. Hence, they never fully recover as they should before 1921. But their lasting spirit of resilience was an anchor to how Greenwood thrived again. The same unity and self-sufficiency that built Greenwood before the massacre fueled its revival. The reality is that they overcame their shortcomings, political exclusion, economic isolation, lack of legal protection served, not by eliminating them, but by doubling down on community solidarity, creative financing, and cultural pride. So approaching the Black Wall Street should also come with a sense of reflection and respect, which wasn't just about what was lost, but about what was built and what has endured. Greenwood reminds us that even in the face of devastation, community, pride, and resilience can never be erased. On the forward-looking message as it relates to Greenwood's past is a testament to both the fragility of progress and the unbreakable strength of a people. When we look at its legacy, it challenges us today to protect, honor, and build upon what was started so that no community's dreams are ever destroyed again. We cannot negate personal and emotional, because when we look back at Greenwood, we don't just see tragedy, we see brilliance, determination, and hope. Black Wall Street's story is a reminder that the fight for justice and opportunity is ongoing, and that its legacy still speaks to us, urging us to carry it forward. Let's honor their tragedy, celebrate their resilience, and connect it to lessons for today.
Acknowledging the tragedy are some of the views that were whispered in private, and these are important informations that past historians have wondered about, which it is imperative that it can't be ignored. Dr. Emuis, thank you so much for your presence here today. This was very educating and informative.
Thank you so much. Always my pleasure. This was fun. Thank you.
Well, we have come to the end of the show. I'm glad we were able to touch on key points and highlight major milestones. This is what the platform is all about, bringing these types of topics to the forefront with empirical facts, hence we don't have all the answers. But the point is to be frank on facts with each topic, even when it's uncomfortable. Well, thank you all for tuning in and showing up on Frank Facts. Please, on your way out,
hit the subscribe button, like it, and share the video. It helps this channel more popular with the YouTube algorithm. Until next time, be blessed.